Hi, I'm Michael Gongora. I am a city commissioner in Miami Beach, Florida, and I am also the state of Florida's first openly gay elected Latino official. Coming out isn't a moment in time, it really is a process, because you come out at different times to different people. Probably what I would define as my coming out moment happened when I was 21 years old, and it was on Mother's Day. At the time, answering machines were still heavily in use. And we had come back from a Mother's Day brunch with my family. I had come out to my sister previously, and the night before I had gone out. And I met somebody that had a somewhat gay-sounding voice and given him my number. And he had called my mother's house while we were at brunch. So we all came back from this great Mother's Day brunch, and they go to play the messages on the machine. And all of a sudden there's a feminine male voice asking for me leaving a message. So everyone got quiet, and my mother was kind of like, who is that voice on the answering machine? It doesn't sound like a very nice person. And this whole conversation ensued when all of a sudden my sister decides to come back with, oh, please give it up, we all know Michael's gay. So Mother's Day brunch went awry from there. My mother kind of said, we will not talk about this anymore, and the conversation came to a halt for that moment. But I came out later that evening officially, we spoke about it. My parents are divorced, so by the time I made it back to my dad's house for Mother's Day, my father knew about it, so I then had that conversation with my father as well. I can tell you that politics is in my DNA. One thing I don't talk about a lot is both my great-grandfather and my grandfather were commissioners in Cuba. So, but for the fact that my family was displaced by a horrible man, roughly 90 miles south of Key West by the name of Fidel Castro, my father probably would have been in politics as well. And I never knew this growing up. I never knew my grandfather and my great-grandfather had been commissioners until I got older. So I think part of it was my DNA and part of it was my upbringing, because my grandparents took care of me when I was a little kid. But why I love politics is I love public service. I love being able to help people on a completely different level. I'm an attorney by trade, and that's what I do as my profession. But it's not rewarding in the same way that serving the city as a commissioner is. I derive a lot of pleasure from my family. I'm very close to my mother, my father, my grandmother, Mama, who's almost 94, who I still talk to every day. I get happiness when I feel like I'm able to pass something meaningful that will leave a legacy for the future. I'm happy when we create a beautiful park or public green space. I'm happy today at a committee meeting we had at the city where I was able to pass an anti-bullying measure that will happen in October during Anti-Bullying Month, and I was able to convince my colleagues that this is an important issue we need to focus on. I'm happy for what I do that I feel like will leave a mark in the world when I'm gone. The Cuban community is a little different than the Latino elected community or the Latino community from the rest of the U.S. For one thing, Cubans are primarily Republicans. We're seeing that change a lot in South Florida. But if you look at most of our elected officials, from our county mayor to our county commissioners to our state senators, they are all Cuban-American Republicans. So it's a little bit different for me here on Miami Beach because I'm part of a minority, being that I'm a Cuban-American Democrat. Cubans are very conservative for the most part, very religious background. So while Cuban people, they all have gay people in their families or extended families or their neighborhoods, and I found that Cuban people all know gay people, of course, they exist in every society. It wasn't as talked about when I was growing up. I feel like it's just now, really, that we're on the cusp of Cuban Americans being able to come out as being openly gay, and that their families and loved ones and professional life know that we're gay and it's okay. Advising people on when to come out and how to come out is always a very difficult thing because it's different for everybody. Everybody has different families and backgrounds and abilities to cope and what have you. So there's no one right or wrong way to come out. I can tell you, once you do come out and you get through that process, you're going to feel a lot better. It is very, very liberating to not feel like you have to hide who you are from anybody.